What is behind the growing prevalence of racism in the country? Why is it important to have continuous ongoing debates on racism? Would it help to criminalize racism? What are the pros and cons of social media use? What time is it? It's question time. Welcome to Question Time. My name is Mpho Tsedu. Posting racist remarks on social media has once again come under the spotlight. Barely 5 months since Penny Sparrow's infamous baboon Twitter earlier this year. This time, Judge Mabel Jansen is making news headlines after making comments that rape is part of black culture. Judge Jansen has been put on special leave by Justice Minister Michael Masuta. This pending the outcome of a complaint submitted to the Judicial Services Commission. For its part, the Human Sciences Research Council is embarking on a series of talks around the country based on the growing prevalence of racism in South Africa. We are live, if you can call us. And they have used the numbers to dial is 089-110-4210, our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. My guest today, Professor Crane Sodian, is the Chief Executive Officer at the Human Sciences Research Council, and Pritesh Suraj, he's the Chief Innovation Analyst. This is the man who deals with social media and computers and all those things. But before we go into today's show, let's take a look at what Justice Minister had to say.
I have placed her on special leave indefinitely. That is in light of the fact that I cannot predetermine how long the JSC process will take. What happens next is that the JSC will refer the matter to the Judicial Conduct Committee, which having considered it, and if on the face of it, it is satisfied that there is a basis to take the matter further, would then formally communicate its recommendation to the Judicial Service Commission itself.
Okay, that was the minister there giving what was to become known as the statement to put on special leave the judge there. Professor Crane Sodian, like I said, is the Chief Executive Officer at the Human Sciences Research Council, and Pritesh Suraj is the Chief Innovation Analyst. Gentlemen, let me welcome you. Prof, I'll come to you. Let's talk quickly about social media. Is this putting us in trouble, or is it the right platform where people say things that they can only say when they want to tell the truth?
Well, I think social media is an important part of society. It's an evolution in terms of our ability to communicate as a species. But one of the important things is when you have new technology and when we adopt this, you also find people who abuse it as well, as with anything else. It's the same way that somebody would abuse a motor vehicle and drive while under intoxication. In the same way, when somebody's using social media, it is possible that negative sentiments and negative thoughts can come out. In fact, this is one of the reasons why the term cyber racism was coined in 2002, so many, many years ago, by Professor Les Back from the University of London. So it's not something new to us as South Africans. It has existed since early days of the internet and social media in general. And sadly, it is something that will exist for a while, but what's important is how we control it.
But, like I said, is this a platform which people use when they want to tell the truth?
Not necessarily, because you have to see the way it works. We generally, a social media platform is a carefully curated group of like-minded individuals. Think about your Facebook friends or people you have on Twitter. Generally, the people you're close to, you curate a similar mindset of individuals. And therefore, sometimes a fallacy may arrive where you believe that within these carefully curated groups, where you might have even subgroups within them, where you're discussing certain thoughts and ideas that you believe are commonplace may not necessarily be commonplace in society, but you're getting the support from different people within these groups.
But then how does racism then find it's such a lucrative platform to thrive in?
Well, again, it's sad, but as part of us as human beings, discrimination has been part of our history for thousands of years. It is part there in society, and we do a lot of work to try and push it down.
Okay.
But again, as we move on, as we develop new technologies, if that exists within society, if it's a part of society, even simmering under the current, it does have the ability to come up.
Prof, your institution saw it fit to then begin the dialogues. Is it going to help us in any way?
So one of the important things that has come out of this first dialogue that we've just had is that you're never going to solve these problems simply by having events such as we've had. So this problem is a problem which it is going to take, as is the case in the United States, which has been legally free, if you like, for a whole lot longer than we have. It's going to take generations and generations. And so the work that we are doing is like this show that you yourself are running, is a really important part of our re-educational process. And so we must see this as part of educating all of ourselves, educating the nation about how we ought to be behaving ourselves in the presence of other people.
Okay. Tabi Singh, you're in KZN. Tabi Singh? Tabi Singh's television set is on. Tabi Singh? Okay, Tabi Singh is no longer there. But Prof, in your research, why does somebody like Judge Johnson say what she has said?
So first of all, just to go back to the point that Pritesh is making. So we have lots of research about this particular issue that is available and in the public domain.
Yes.
And it's a whole lot more sophisticated than what we are able to glean from this instant media that is available to us. And it's saying both things which are confirming what we see here, but also other things. And so it's really important that, and this is why for an institution such as ourselves to come onto a medium like this is really important. It's for us to try and put the bigger picture of what is going on inside of our country. And a lot is going on, both good and bad.
Yeah, but why would another citizen...
Right, so let's talk about why a supposedly well-educated person, such as a judge. And so that's a really important question.
Yes.
And it does raise deep questions about the education that this judge has gone through. I've said this before. In many ways, you want to say that this judge is not properly educated. And it's quite a controversial thing to say. But one has to ask questions about what she learnt when she was doing her law degree, what kinds of principles were put in front of her, what kind of understanding of society did she acquire in this process of education, and you have to ask questions about that.
But Prof, is it not true that there are people like Mabel Johnson who want to express those feelings that they only find Twitter to be the platform to?
So let me say to you that I would be very disappointed with educated people talking in that kind of way.
Whether privately or openly?
Or in the open. For an educated person to express him or herself in that kind of way is a betrayal of the supposed value benefit that he or she could have gotten from the institutions from which he or she could have been coming. And so if I were that university, like very many years ago we had a student at one of our top private schools, and this student made a remark which was so damning of his institution that I think that it behoves our institutions now to come out and say what they are doing in their educational programs for people like that.
But the fact of the matter is, people have those feelings.
we are a young democracy, as the Prof has said. We're a young democracy, and you've got societies that have had democracy and equal status for all citizens for a lot longer than we have.
Yes.
And they're still battling with these issues. The reality is it's on a global space, there's a lot of work to be done. I mean, I recently came back from Peru, and in Peru, they have posters on the street sides across the board in the major cities highlighting that, you know, as kids, you need to prevent racism in your school. You cannot have a racist mindset as a child. So even in societies like that, it's prevalent. What we can do is, as Professor is doing through his organization, is continue the education platforms that are available, speak to people, but also there's this positive affirmation that needs to happen. Why do we only, on social media platforms, why do we only focus on the negative stuff? Can we not, one, highlight some positive societies? If you're a viewer who's watching this today, can you not post some positive things about the wonderful new country that we have in terms of, there's still supposedly new South Africa, 20 bit years still makes us new. So put some positive affirmations into society. As long as we're missing that, we're still going to focus on negativity.
Mzamo, you are in the Northwest. Okay, Mzamo is no longer there. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll be taking your calls. 089-1104-210. What are your thoughts? What do you think about the judge? What do you think about all this other racist rants that have been going on? Or perhaps, is Twitter not the only platform where you can just say what you want and nobody has to basically tell you to your face what they think about your thoughts, or perhaps risking a few repercussions here and there? The number to dial 089-1104-210. We shall return.
Another person has been shot dead and another is in a critical condition in hospital.
The CRL has laid charges against controversial televangelist Paseka Mutsoneng.
More than 1.3 million South Africans have been added in the past two registration weekends.
The International Monetary Fund warns that policy uncertainty could dampen economic growth in South Africa.
And all eyes are on the new Bok coach, Alistair Coetzee. He's challenged to keep everyone in the country happy.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today, Professor Crane Sodin. He's the CEO at the HSRC, and Pritesh Suraj is the Chief Innovation Analyst. In Mpumalanga, we've got Vincent. Welcome.
How are you, sir?
I'm well. Thanks for the call.
Yes, here you are having a topic about the recently suspended judge.
Yes.
Who cited the words that were, they do have a racist feeling, as you can listen to those words. So, but I think like you're asking Professor about what really went into that professional's mind to say those words. And then the professor was having a problem that educated people shouldn't say such words because they can spark maybe a racial conflict between the communities, which is true because, everything that we say to people or we communicate either by means of media, press or vocal, it should be something that we should take care of. We have to track carefully as we say those words because, everything was created, even in the Bible. God used words to create whatever that we have in our universe. He said, let there be this, and then it became. So whatever we say all the time, it is very, very upon ourselves that whatever we're printing to other people's ears or minds, we should think of other people as well, as whether they will accept how we say our things, or is it because, as a lawyer, you have been taught how to speak, arguments, you know how to formulate your argument. So once you put those pieces of weight in your statement, then surely you do have a motive behind it. So what I'm saying...
Vincent, thank you very much. Prof, let me give you an opportunity to respond to that.
So I can't think what a motive may have been behind the way in which Mabel Jansen has spoken. But it's a real sign of her own weakness and her own incapacity to be able to distinguish, if you like, the better side of what her work is all about, and if you like, maybe the private side. And so if you think that you have to be constantly managing yourself and handling yourself in a situation where you are safe, such as she thought, then she clearly does not understand what her job is all about.
Okay, Soli, you are in Gauteng. Welcome.
Yes. The point that I want to address is that, you see, racism, it's like tigers. Tigers don't change their sport. Okay. And it's pointless to keep discussing racism when we know that it's one of their brands. The best solution is for the racists to get out of South Africa and go back where they came from. That is one thing. Two, the racial war is looming. Whether we like it or not, we have to understand that we have reached a point where we can't tolerate racism anymore. We can't tolerate racists anymore.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Soli, for that. But I'll go back to that question. That why can people not say what they are feeling?
I think one of the key things is, let's make it as simple as possible. If you're having racist tendencies, there's absolutely no excuse for that. If you're feeling that, there is probably an issue in terms of the education you've received up until that point. But if you're at a point where you're sitting and you're generalizing an entire group of people, regardless of what your motive is and how you try and justify it, there's absolutely no excuse whatsoever. And that's the simple line of it. And just because you believe that you can then go onto platforms where you can hide behind the screen and make comments such as Facebook or Twitter and feel safe about this, it just shows that you do not even have the courage of the conviction that you have to be able to air it in an open platform, because you're aware in an open platform your racist comments will not survive.
But Twitter is an open platform.
Not really, not in a face-to-face platform like this. Do you think most of the people who have been on social media recently espousing these racist comments, would they have done that in an open platform with a huge number of different individuals?
No, because they'll be beaten up.
Exactly. So therefore, it's a way of hiding behind it. It's a defense mechanism. They have these emotions. They want a release for it. They use social media as the platform. But it's a very cowardly approach, because if they really believe that and you really want an open platform to do it, go out in communities, stand within communities and say, this is what I believe. People don't do it, it's because they know it's incorrect and wrong.
And Mamelodi, Eric.
Hello, bro.
Hi.
Yeah, it's Eric speaking here.
Yeah, Eric.
Most of the people talk about racism when...
Eric, I'm very, very sorry. I'm sure it's not John who cut you off. If you're able, please do call us back. Let's hear what you had to say from Mamelodi there. Now, Prof, I'm saying, yes, I cannot say what I want to say on Bree Street as a white woman because they will assault me.
So the issue is this. It's period. You can't say what you want to say in any environment.
Okay.
And that is because you always have to be aware, even in your own home with your children, you have to be aware of what the consequences are going to be for the other people.
But Prof, let's be honest here. Is it only white people who cannot say stuff about black people, or black people they have all the rights,
No.
they've been oppressed for so many years, they can talk racism about white people, because this happens.
No, it applies to all of us, every single one of us. None of us has the right, even in the privacy of our family homes, to talk even to our children in the way in which we do. So what racism does is to give you the exaggerated, if you like, form of this indignity and this injustice that we do to each other. So racism is the worst, if you like. Sexism is another one. But we do it on an everyday basis with each other around small things that we think are all right.
Okay, Ayanda, you are in KZN, welcome.
Hi, Mpo, how are you?
I'm well, thanks for the call, Ayanda.
I'm good. Firstly, let me say a few things there. Just two things.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, I think this is also from government's failure to deal with issues of racism. And to be honest, I think they have anticipated 2 decades into democracy that there will be issues of the racism that will transpire in our society. And also from us as citizens of the country. I think if, from my side, when I look at this, I think we also have a responsibility, because it seems like this is also when people make these utterances or voice out their sentiments about things that are happening in the country, about other people. It seems that these are things that have been discussed with either their families at home, or with their colleagues or with their friends. It's not someone. It can't be someone who wakes up and say, "I want to write something," and it's something that comes first from his or her mind. Okay. These are things that have been discussed before, and there are many people who are involved here. So that's why we need to look at this better, very broadly, and understand that these are issues that transpired long time ago, and we have failed to rectify them from that point.
Ayanda, thank you very much. But Pritesh, it must be hard being a white person in South Africa, because you can't just say anything.
I don't think it should be about, again, it shouldn't be about race. It's about, you could say it's tough being a black person in South Africa because you can't say anything you want. You could insert any racial group into that. I think it's the simple thing is that you should be able to make constructive criticisms that benefit society. Do that. But if you're making comments that are negative, that are hurting sentiment in society, then what you're saying is not correct.
Okay. Prof, should it be criminalized, racism?
Well, there should be consequences for racial behavior. Not criminalized, but there should be consequences.
Okay.
And so in this particular instance with Judge Mabel Jansen, the consequences of asking her to resign her position, I think, is the absolutely correct one.
Okay.
But criminalizing a situation such as this, such as we have seen in a whole range of aspects of our personal behavior, doesn't stop the problem. We've got to find ways of getting all of us to improve how we deal with one another.
Okay.
And it's not through punishment only.
Machiras Shoka on Twitter says, Mpo, racism is a racial venom that will take forever for as long as South Africa exists. Criminalize it or not. And Christian Kleinhans, can we talk the truth about rape? Our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, those that are forced to keep quiet, help them. Okay, Christian Dibuseng is listening. She will definitely do something about that. That's Christian. Okay, those are some of our tweets. And perhaps, Prof, as we close, out of these dialogues, what are you expecting to happen?
Well, we'd like to raise the level of the public discussion around these questions.
Okay.
And so that's a really important thing, because we have freedom of speech in the country, and that's really great. But we really want to have, in the content of that freedom of speech, a level of understanding of and engagement with this particular issue, which helps us come to another level of understanding and how we behave in the country. Okay. And we are needing to, as a country, to do that on a much more intensive basis.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guest and to you for watching the show. From me and the crew, you have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.